Hey everybody, how are you? It's Jay Victoria. So listen, it has been really intense lately. Um, and you might be wondering, well, what the F is going on? And I want to share with you an experience I had today that helped me a lot and that I think is relevant, especially for the women watching, though it's not just for you if you're a woman, because we all have feminine energy, and that's really what this is about. And I'm calling it like the Eve complex. It's basically the temptation that God is not who he really is. And this is something happening in your soul right now. And I think a lot of people here on YouTube are talking about like, this big change is coming or that. Like, I think big changes are coming. But I think we need to take a moment to talk about this moment that we're in right now, which is really important. And hopefully the things I say and my energy will be an activation for you, speaking to you genuinely about this very difficult moment, I think, that we're in and that we will succeed in. But what it's requiring of us is pretty intense. I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to share with you a story to illustrate what I'm talking about and the words of wisdom I got today, which really helped me, which I'll pass on to you. And then I'm going to explain more about what this is all about. Because I've been thinking about Eve for ever since I started working with energy. It's been a theme that I'm always considering because there's something very deep there and connected to the changes that you're going through. So, I won't go into details, but I'm going through a really challenging trial, it feels like, in my life. And what these trials can feel like are like a repetition of a pattern. I don't think it's going to feel totally new. I think it's going to be something that is like, sorry, I'm trying to keep my cat out of the camera. Thank you. I love you. I'm going to cuddle with you in a minute. Like always. Okay. But yeah, see, cuddles the best. I love my kitties. Okay. So, but like, speaking of feminine energy, by the way, cats are very much feminine energy because they're about being present. But, okay. So listen, like, the trial you're in right now is not totally new. That's what I'm saying. It's not new. And it's something that your soul hasn't overcome yet. If you're having a really easy time during this time, this video is not for you. Okay? You as a soul are coasting and you're probably already there, but some of us are getting there, and that's okay. That truly is okay. It truly is okay. Why? Because I think all souls have to do this at some point. The evolution is beautiful. And what I'm talking about is choosing God, choosing light over dark. It's a very simple choice, but easier said than done sometimes, especially when you have hard things going on here in your life as a human. And so I'm going through something that, again, it feels like one of those crossroads, one of those times where I have to be really strong, even though part of me feels like giving up, and there's temptation to do that. And it reminded me of a trial I went through in my spirit when I was 19, where I was bullied. And the trial I'm going through now, of course, involves bullying. And when I was 19, I did give up. I actually did. I fully did. I experimented with it. I totally was like, I am giving up. I'm gonna see what happens, because I don't know, maybe I just wanted to see what would happen if I gave up, which I had never done before. I'd never just been like, I'm giving up. I'm just gonna like give up. What happened was, by the way, now I know why you should never do that, because I thought it would make my life hard for like a year. It made my life hard like ever since then, which is why my soul is now going through a new trial, which looks different but has the same essence in the lesson. Are you going to give up or not? And So I want you to look at the trial you're in as something that probably did happen in the past, even in a past life. And if you don't know about your past lives, I highly recommend getting someone to help you with that. That's something I do in my work. And it can just really clarify a lot of what you're going through, because I can go back further into my past lives and understand why my soul is still doing this now, and has been through so much struggle, because I was actually hung as a witch in a past life. And that's like a daily trauma for me still. I'm not even kidding. Like, it sounds crazy, but like it really is still something I deal with, because the themes are what you still deal with. You still deal with betrayal. You still deal with accusations that you don't deserve. You still deal with, bullying is an aspect of that. So you see how the past life trauma is like life is trying to get it out of you through what's going on in your life. And man, free will is great. Thank you, Lord, for our free will, but it's a responsibility. Like, you have the choice. You can actually be like, no, I'm not going to keep going. But as I said, if you give up in this trial you're going through, it's going to make your life harder in the future. And you just don't deserve that. You don't deserve to go through more shit for decades and trying to get yourself out of this. And it's just a bunch of darkness trying to really sabotage you, because everything is going to be okay, even if it doesn't look like it. And I actually went to confession today because it felt so intense for me. The only place I really felt I could go was to confession and to mass. And confession has become a real staple for me, because, when you go to confession, you meet Jesus there, and it doesn't matter who the priest is. I have had one confession where I was like, but especially if you have a compassionate priest, I mean, that's a good reflection of Jesus. There's not supposed to be judgment or like, oh my God, you did that. Like, it's supposed to be like very accepting, because that's what he is. And I'm going to be honest, I cried, I sobbed, I said, I don't know. I said, I feel like I'm being tempted to give up. I feel like I'm really being tempted to give up and to be like, feel like I'm not doing good enough for God. I'm afraid I'm going to give up. I'm afraid I'm not going to trust. I'm afraid I'm not praying well enough. That's why my prayers aren't being answered. And that, he's not going to help me. He's not going to hear me. I'm going to be destitute, or, whatever. Like, it's like, I've really, really actually had to, like, there was this carpeting on the walls, and I was like clawing the carpeting, like, oh my God, like I just felt like I knew I needed to reach out to something, and it was hard. It was emotional. And the priest said so many wonderful things that I feel like I want to share in case you need to hear them too. And he was like, he said, it sounds like, it surprised me, because I've been, again, exploring the energy of Eve and what happened with her, and the impact on the way we see the feminine, and lots of themes to do with her, like whether or not she was, anyway, lots and lots, like really guilty, or like what that was, like it's a lot of stuff. I've even done videos on, like, a few years ago here on YouTube talking about it. It's a lot, but because I always questioned if it was like, since positive energy is the only thing that exists, then maybe the snake was a symbol of empowerment, because she was empowered to choose what she chose. And empowerment is a gift from God. It's not bad inherently. So I always wondered if there was some kind of like misconstruction of the way we simplify that. But I do feel like there's some temptation here. And this is the way the priest said it. He said, and this is a good priest, I really like him. He said, it sounds like you have sort of like an Eve-like temptation, where it's almost like the devil is saying, look at how God doesn't care for you. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't help you. And almost to the point where he's like, and he doesn't want you to rely on him, because he doesn't want you to know that you're powerful and that you're like equal to him and you could solve your own problems. And that, something about that really spoke to me, because I feel like in the spiritual communities, like, that's rampant. And I don't think that that's bad. And even when I connect to God and Jesus, I don't feel like ever shamed for using my empowerment. I think that that's a gift and that we're supposed to use it. But I think there's some missing piece where it's like surrender and letting God help you is important. And sometimes God sends us impossible trials because that's the only way we're going to learn that he can be there for us and that we need him. Because otherwise, you know, if we're really manifesting everything, think about it. Like if we're really manifesting everything and you know, we call it like you create your life. And it's true that your energy creates your reality. I know that from working with energy, but there's something about being a human and not being perfect and going through things and not feeling strong enough. There's something about that I feel my soul is learning right now. And it doesn't nullify your power is the thing. It doesn't make you less powerful to recognize that God is more powerful and God created you and gave you your power. After talking to the priest today, I was thinking, you know, I'm really good at working with energy, and I even told the priest, I feel like I could solve this if I really wanted to. If I really wanted to, I feel like I could. It's just that I'm having a hard time getting over being a victim and getting over, you know, feeling abandoned by God. Like that's like, I feel like I could probably fix the problem I'm having, but I just feel mad. And I told him, I feel like all I have is my anger. The anger I feel like that's all I have, you know? But I was thinking later, I was like, yeah, I'm powerful, but I'm powerful because of God. Same with you. You're powerful, but he gave you that power. And he didn't give it to you not to use it, but there's something not right about not including him, you know? Have you ever like given someone a gift and they're just like, they don't even say thank you? And they're just like, oh my God, look at this thing. Like, and they're like, but it's like, hello, like, so there's something about that I feel makes a lot of sense. And I was talking about the experience, like a lot of what you're going through might have elements of this. So I'll speak about it. Like what you're going through might have elements of feeling abandoned or shamed or betrayed or judged or hurt, maybe physical suffering or, you know, emotional suffering. And the priest said to me, it makes me want to cry. I cried like all through mass after this. You know, it's very real. He said that was the experience of Jesus going to the cross. He was alone, you know. He felt abandoned by God. He felt scared. He felt betrayed. He was betrayed. And he said that was the lonely walk that he walked with this heavy cross to his own death. And there was not support for him. You know, he said that's what he went through. And he had a little bit of support from people around him who loved him, but he was alone, you know. He was going to suffer, and he knew that. And I think when you look at it that way, it's almost beautiful to even have a taste of that suffering that he went through for us. And because why did he do that? He didn't do it for himself. He did it for us, and to purge all the negative, to clear all the negative energy, you know, permanently. What we have now is just shadows, because he that's what he did on the cross. And it's like we experience tastes of that, you know, how that feels. I think probably to bring us closer to him and understand what a big deal that was. And yeah, it brings me to tears because it's so hard when you really don't feel like you have anybody except God. And he had that experience. And yet I believe that because of the crucifixion and the resurrection especially, that we will never be fully crucified here on earth. I don't think if we lean into his energy and the fact that he already did it, I don't think we actually get crucified the way that we feel we're going to be, whatever the situation is. It might be emotional crucifixion. It might be getting disowned by people or judged, or, whatever the trial is you're going through. It might be physical problems or stability, whatever that is. Like, I don't think you truly ever get crucified if you ask for his help, because he literally did that transformation energetically for us. And the priest said, God has his hand on the dial all the time of your suffering. He knows that you're suffering. I was really suffering today, like in my soul. It's hard to explain, but you can really, suffer in your soul, and it feels so big, even if it's not really big in your reality. You're not actually going to die, but if it comes from a past life experience, especially, like, you did die in those past lives. So that's why it can sometimes feel like you're going to die. Like, you're literally like, this is bad. But he said, God always has his hand on the dial of your suffering. He knows how much you're suffering. He knows how much you can handle. And he might turn it up for your own good to help you grow. But he's never going to give you more than you can handle. And I felt that. I don't know if you felt that, but I related to that. I was like, I feel that. I feel like it goes up past what I'm comfortable with sometimes, whether it's spiritually or in any other way. And that was good to hear. I hope that helps you too, that to know that he's there. And he said, this priest has said this to me a couple times, and I've talked about it here a couple times because it's important. Was important for me to hear, and I hope it helps you too, that a lot of times when you think of God as like this tormentor or judger or anything like that, he said, that's the devil. He said, you tell the devil, get behind me, Satan, because that's not who he is. And that's what he did with Eve. He said, oh yeah, he's not who he says he is. He doesn't love you. And the priest, even today in the homily, was saying how much God loves us, and how the souls in purgatory and hell, even the fire that burns them, is God's love. It's like it burns you, because it's like, how much can you let it in? How big can you let your heart expand and open up? And that's something that you do with your free will. And it almost like hurts if you don't let it in. You have to open and trust it. And he said that to me a few times, which has been good to hear, that like, he loves you. He really loves you. He loves you. That's it. He loves you. And so all this other crap about he's mean and abandoning me and he doesn't understand me, he's like, none of that is what God is. That's not God. That's another idea. And that's even, negative energy or Satan trying to twist and distort your own concept of God so that you don't rely on, you don't go closer to him when that's what you need to do. And yeah, so it was a really emotional mass. And I was asking Jesus, in my situation, do I hang on, or what do you want me to do? Do you want me to keep going? Do you and I felt even physically weak, and kneeling on the kneeler thing. Catholics are always kneeling and standing and sitting. And at one point I was kneeling, and I felt like I was just not strong enough. But I thought, no, I'm going to be strong, because I'm going to test if you want me to be strong and keep going, Jesus, I'm going to do it. And so I did. I stayed strong. I stayed, in the position, and I didn't slump down and sit back down. I stayed there. And I swear I felt like this golden energy, relieving all this stuff in my neck and my physical body. And I have a lot of physical tension from the past life trauma of being hung, and I have a lot of injuries from being a child, and I really feel like I got a physical and energetic healing. And so I felt like, okay, that is the right thing to do. Keep going, be strong. And so that's the message I want to give you too, if that vibes with you right now today, is keep going, be strong, and to know that he is with you. And I think the image of the cross, the priest told me to contemplate and go look at the cross at the front of the church, to look at it and to see him hanging there, and to know that he's no stranger to suffering. He's no stranger to temptation even. He's no stranger to any of this, but that's why we go to him. He understands. And we don't always know his ways or why he's allowing us to go through things, and if it is punishment or if it's not. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's about coming closer to him, regardless of why whatever's happening is happening, to choose him. And when I gave up at that time when I was 19, I did feel like I got further away from God. That wasn't like a conscious choice, but it's like I basically chose to just kind of like, I chose like negativity basically. I chose like, yeah, like that's what I believe in. This situation sucks and I am obviously not good enough, and I'm just gonna go with that belief, like I'm not good enough. Yeah, no one likes me and I suck. I get it, you know. I'll just isolate myself and, you know, hide, I guess. And all it did was make my life really hard. And so I really challenge you to choose the light and to be like, yeah, no, I am good enough. And God is there for me. And he does love me. And even if nothing looks like that in my reality, I'm going to still believe that. You got to do that. And look at the cross. Even put a picture of the cross as your background on your phone or your computer. Like, look at it and be like, he knows what I'm going through. He knows. And maybe he's even bringing me closer to him by showing me what he did for me, which was a lot harder. And the priest said this too, that like, he said like, yeah, your prayers will never be good enough. We're always falling short as humans. Like, that's why we need God. I think that's, again, what we're missing in the spiritual community is that space for ourselves to be humble. You know, I think, again, God gives us power. We should use it. He gives us the ability to manifest, to clear energy, to create, you know, co-create our life. Use it. Obviously, be empowered. But like, I think there's that missing piece of like, where does human fallacy come in? Where does, what about when we're not strong enough on our own? What about when we don't know how to handle things? What about when we fail? What about when we aren't good enough? We don't pray good enough. What about those times? I think those times happen, don't you? I've had so many of those times. What about when we don't want to forgive and we do feel like a victim and we're mad at everybody and we want to give up? Like, what about those times? I think in those times we have to have that relationship there, because otherwise we don't realize that he can pull us out of it. And he can. I'm just telling you, he can. And there are so many saints. I think the saints are great to pray to. There's like a saint for every problem you have. Google it. Saint for this problem. You're going to find a saint. The saints are beautiful because they have suffered so much. So many of the saints suffered so much, and they lived the human experience, you know, of being like us, just being a person like us, but and wanting to go to heaven and do good for people like you and me, like that. We don't always know what's going on. We don't always know what we're supposed to do. We fail, you know, a lot. We need help. And I think if you could do it on your own, there would be no need for God. I think that sometimes we do get trials where we need him for a reason. And we don't always know the reason, but I think one of the reasons commonly, potentially, are to bring us closer to him. Because otherwise, why would we need to even have him at all if we really were powerful on our own all the time, 100%? So I think about this and think about, do you have room in your life for God? Do you have room in your life for the resurrection and what that can do for you? And I came home and I was asking God, like, I don't know how to fix this. I just felt I should just lay down and kind of wait and be quiet. And by the time I got up, some good things had happened. And I felt like he came in and he did that for me. I don't feel like I did it for myself. I feel like it's because I was asking. It's because I was like saying like, I can't fix this. And I think I've had a few experiences like that, enough that make me feel like he does want to help. But it takes this sincerity from us to invite that. And it's hard to explain, but like, of our own doing, it just feels like we're never going to be enough. And to let him in is to have a better life and to have somebody who can lift you out of situations that you don't know how to get out of, and you feel that terror of existence and of that you know, what is that word, that precipice of feeling on the edge of something and teetering and not knowing if you're gonna, you know, make it. That feeling is what this whole video is about. That feeling of, am I gonna choose the light? Am I gonna make it? Am I gonna believe? Am I gonna do that deep inside my own soul? And I hope this helped you to realize that's the choice to make, and it's a choice, and you can do it. And I made that choice today. I hope you keep making that choice. I think you have to keep making that choice every day, but he'll give you evidence to believe in him. And so just keep coming closer and leave room for him, by the way, to solve problems. I think you should still try to solve your own problems, but invite him in to help you, and don't just see what he does. I think that's what teaches me most about who Jesus is the way he helps me with things that I know it was him because I asked, or I told him about something, or I opened up. And you know, if you can go to confession, I recommend that. If you can't for some reason, then talk to Jesus like a person and tell him what's going on, and tell him, just like I did with the priest, just kind of like open up and cry and let him know everything, and just watch what happens. I think that he really wants to come closer. Oh yeah, I think what I was going to say is the priest told me that he said, for everything you're going through, it's so hard, but imagine how much sadder it was when Jesus went through it, because he has such a good heart. It is, you know, really something that he was betrayed and all the things that happened to him with a very good heart, a pure heart. So yeah, we need to have respect for that, I think. So I hope this helped you. I hope that this spoke to you today. And if you like this message, then please like the video. I'd love to hear your comments. And by the way, I'm doing something new for October. Anybody who subscribes, I'm going to actually do a draw at the end of October on the 31st for a free energy clearing session for any new subscribers. So if you subscribe the month of October, I'm going to enter you into a draw. And also for people who comment, I'll be doing the same. So if you comment as well, your name will go into the draw too. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this. And if you'd like to know more about my energy clearing work, I do free consults, and I would love to talk to you. We're going through a lot of deep stuff right now, and hinging on the side of the light is really important. Getting the negativity out of you can help you a lot. And remember to say, Satan, get behind me. And there's a wonderful prayer to Saint Michael that I'll link into the description as well, that we said at Mass, and I feel like that was a really good one. So Satan, get behind me, Jesus, go before me and be all around me. And I know saying that will protect you too. Thank you for watching. Bye.